Tonight, anxious wait for both political parties, with polls yet to close in the West. Malcolm Turnbull tight-lipped as he puts the final touches on his new cabinet.
I know everyone's dying for me to say what's going to be in the reshuffle, but it'll all be announced tomorrow.
Too steep. Are families priced out of Tasmania's newest bushwalk?
This is actually a walk that's suited to families, but the price is just going to be way too high.
And grand final cliffhanger, North Launceston back-to-back premiers. Good evening, welcome to ABC News. I'm Angela Ross. Voters in Western Australia have almost finished casting their votes in the by-election for the federal seat of Canning. The poll gained national attention as a crucial test for the then Prime Minister Tony Abbott. Instead, it's become the first electoral test for his replacement, Malcolm Turnbull.
Hi everybody.
High-profile Liberal candidate Andrew Hastie began the campaign with the fate of the then Prime Minister Tony Abbott seemingly on his shoulders, but has ended it with Malcolm Turnbull as PM, still comfortable he's done enough to win.
Next week. Dan Connor for ABC News, Canberra.
The Three Capes track is Tasmania's newest bushwalking attraction. Bookings are now open, but at $500 a head, there are fears many Tasmanians won't be able to afford to walk the track.
Anne McConnell has hiked all over the world. Her hobby can be expensive, paying for track fees, park passes and travel. But she believes the cost of walking the Three Capes track will make the journey too steep for many.
For not just Tasmania but for Australia and not up there with the great coastal walks of the world.
The state government agrees and is adamant all walkers will have access to the experience. Almost 300 bookings have been made for the state's newest bushwalking attraction, only 39 by Tasmanians. Richard Baines, ABC News.
Greece heads back to the polls tomorrow for the third time in 9 months. Former Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras is asking for a second chance after signing the country up to a financial bailout that demands years of austerity. Opinion polls put his party running neck and neck with the opposition Conservative group New Democracy. Europe correspondent Mary Guerin with the latest.
It all began so well. Of history. Laura Beavis, ABC News, Hagley.
To local football now, and North Launceston defeated Glenorchy in a thrilling grand final today. Sports reporter Scott Rollinson is at Bellerive Oval. Scott, I understand today's main game was a cliffhanger.
Angela, it was neck and neck all day, but it was the Bombers in the end who prevailed, and it's back-to-back TSL premierships for the boys from North Launceston. The day began with the women's grand final. In that match, it was Clarence who defeated Burnie, while in the Development League, it was Clarence again winning, this time defeating Glenorchy. In the main game, though, it was North Launceston by 2 goals over Glenorchy. North Launceston has been worried about slow starts in this final series. It wasn't the case today. The Bombers jumped out of the blocks with the first goal to Will McBride at the 3-minute mark. North Launceston dominated possession early. Josh Holland stretched the lead. From there, the Bombers hung on to win by 2 goals. And the celebrations began.
This group's been phenomenal, and they deserve every accolade they get, and it's a great achievement, and just super proud for our footy club and the resilience they've shown.
Josh Holland won the Bulldog medal as best on ground.
And Scott, the other important award handed out at the game was the Alastair Lynch Medal. Who took that out?
Well, that was the good news for Glenorchy. Angela, earlier in the day, Jay Bowden became the first man to win multiple Lynch medals for best and fairest in the TSL competition. The day started well for the Magpies. It didn't end the way they would have hoped, and after a great season for the Glenorchy club, they'll look at what went wrong today. For North Launceston, as you can imagine, the celebrations, they've probably already begun.
No doubt. Scott Rollinson there. Hawthorn's quest for a third straight flag is back on track after a thumping win over Adelaide in last night's semi-final at the MCG. The 74-point margin was the Crows' biggest September defeat and means the Hawks will now face Fremantle next Friday for a chance to play off in the Premiership decider.
The Hawks have had their doubters in recent times, but they're well and truly back in the premiership frame.
Sit in a tie for ninth. A Tasmanian builder has turned his hands to a new trade, building guitars out of native timber. It's a career change inspired by his daughter, pop star Asta, who's one of Tasmania's most exciting musical exports. Emily Grumens reports.
In his Signet workshop, Jack Binney is taking a break from the tools.
She was our Unearthed High winner in 2012, but she's been killing it since then. Welcome, Asta.
Hello.
Woo. How are you going?
It'd be hard to find a prouder dad.
That's great.
Yeah. And you can see more on that story on Australia-wide on News 24 tonight at 9:30. To the weather now. It was mild across the state, but there was a bit of cloud about. The top temperatures were as much as 6 degrees above average in the south, but close to average in the north. The highest was 20 at Hobart Airport and Bushy Park. It got to 19 in Hobart and 17 in Launceston. Yesterday and overnight, the highest rainfall was only 2 millimetres at Mount Barrow. The national satellite sequence shows a large region of low cloud over the southeastern regions produced by the onshore airstream associated with the high pressure system. In the west, a frontal cloud band can be seen approaching southwest and Western Australia. Tomorrow's synoptic chart shows the high pressure system remaining over the southern Tasman Sea. A second high pressure system has moved over southern Western Australia. Across the country tomorrow, sunny in Perth, Adelaide and Darwin, showers in Brisbane and Sydney and partly cloudy in Melbourne. For Tasmania, showers mainly during the afternoon and mostly light, patchy early fog. It'll reach 20 in Hobart, 18 in Launceston, St Helens and Swansea, 17 in Strahan and 15 in Burnie and Devonport. Sunrise will be at 3 minutes past 6. The coastal waters, northeast to northwesterly winds, 10 to 20 knots, although lighter and more easterly inshore in the north and in the morning, and lighter and more variable in the southeast in the afternoon and evening. The swells 2.5 metres in the west and south and under a metre in the north and east. Turning to Monday, showers extending statewide during the morning, then contracting to the west and south during the evening. Snow falling to around 800 metres in the southwest in the evening. And on Tuesday, showers, less likely about the north, contracting to the south and east coasts during the evening. Snow falls to around 400 metres in the south. Before we go, a look at the day's main stories. Voters in Western Australia have almost finished casting their votes in the by-election for the federal seat of Canning. It's become the first electoral test for the new Prime Minister. And Malcolm Turnbull is putting the final touches on his ministry ahead of its announcement in less than 24 hours' time. And there are fears Tasmania's newest bushwalking attraction, the Three Capes track, is too costly for many Tasmanians. And that's the latest news. If you missed any of tonight's news, you can catch up on iView, where you'll shortly find tonight's entire program. ABC News 24 will have full coverage of the Canning by-election results from 8 o'clock tonight, and there'll be a news update in about an hour. In the meantime, have a good evening.
Hey Julie, how are you going? Hi. Nice to see you.